In the previous video, this is where we finished. You have a server in the cloud on Amazon Web Services, the largest provider of cloud machines on the planet. I hope it's satisfying. I hope this is exciting. You can do anything you want. You control your destiny. It's a little scary, but just a real quick review from that first video. We are going to go to the domain part now. We don't want people punching in the IP address, which, as you saw, is ugly. Instead, we want them to go to x.com, whatever you happen to choose. And I'll show you some options. I'm going to do Namecheap in this one just because it's the cheapest for what I want. But there's DreamHost, there's GoDaddy, there's Route 53. There's a whole bunch of them. Whatever, if you've got one that you like, then use it. If you don't have a preference, then you can use what I am using. Remember, everything has to register with ICANN. So whoever you register your domain with is going to have to go and do that with ICANN. I'm going to show you, I think it's 18 cents is the actual cost to register. Everything else is going to be overhead for the company you buy it from. That is going to point at our server. Okay, so that's thing one. Thing two in this video is we are going to install a web server, because once somebody comes to our domain and ICANN or your registrar or whatever, get them to our computer here, that is not enough for anything to happen. We have to have some software running on your computer that knows what to do when someone comes from the browser. That is going to be the web server's job. And again, this is one of the most satisfying parts of the whole process prior to actually getting your site up, is seeing that happen. Okay, let's go do it. Following up from the previous video, from part 2, we have an AWS server. Now we need to get a domain and connect it to that server. And the getting part is the part of this whole process that you least likely need my help. I have friends who don't know anything about code, and they own hundreds of domains, almost like their cryptocurrency or an NFT, where they're hoping that down the road some business will need the domain they registered and they can sell it for a big pile of money. As I already said, it makes no difference what you use. If you already have a service that you like, you should use it. The thing that you're paying for is the promotions, the UI, and the customer service, because everybody has to register at ICANN. I have an article up by Forbes that I ran across that I thought had a good write-up. They have their best four. What I'm going to show you here is, as of the making of this video, they have the starting price and the renewal price for a bunch of different options. And this is really helpful to talk through quick. So Ionis is $1 for the first year, which is awesome. And then it's $17 thereafter, which is going to be a little more pricey than some of them. They do not do a free whois. And the whois means if somebody looks up your domain, will they see your name, or will they see, Ionis or some other middleman instead? I don't want them seeing my name, so I am going to choose the cheapest one that has a free whois. DreamHost is $9 the first year, and then $20, and you get the free whois. We go down. Pork Bun is always $10.37 with a free whois. Namecheap is $9.18, and it has a free whois. I'm going to use this one. GoDaddy down at the bottom here is very popular. They just yesterday, I think they had a 1 cent for the first year. Except not really, because you had to commit to 3 years, and it ended up costing $42, I think. So you need to pick whatever is best for you. Before I go down the Namecheap road here, if I come back over to AWS, you can punch in here Route 53. Route 53 is AWS's domain registration service. So you can register a domain here if you would like to, and I'm going to search for, let's do deploying javascript.com and do a quick check. And all right, it is available for $13. So that price is fine. AWS does not do a free whois, so I'm going to use Namecheap just to show you a little bit different interface. The one thing that you get from Route 53 that you might not get somewhere else is they can do some load balancing based on the domain. You can do queries and stuff. That's something I would say probably do down the road. Just pick the one that you like the best. Okay, so let's do it again. Deploying-javascript.com. Search for it. It is available for $9.18.
I have added it to my cart. I am going to check out. But before I do that, they've got some other stuff here. Do you want to add web hosting? No. We are web hosting right here. We have an AWS machine. This is where our web hosting is at. So you should not be paying probably for anything. SSL, they're going to charge $6 for it. We are going to do SSL for free, and I'll show you how that part works too. So we don't need any of this stuff. You just need to get the domain at whatever price you want to pay, and you'll be all set. So give me just a second. I have finished the registration process, and it cost me $9.36 to get this domain. Wanted to show you two parts of the process quick. One, ICANN fee is here. They only charged 18 cents. So the balance in my case was $9.18, whatever your balance was. All of that's going towards the UI, towards the whois that I'm getting for free. I'm not really getting it for free. It's coming out of that $9.18. All the stuff that goes into managing the domain. Okay, so the ICANN fee, again, that's just, it's got to be there. It's not very much. You got to pay for some other things. The other thing is the domain privacy popped up. And this is where it says, hey, we want to make sure that your personal info doesn't show up in the whois database. What does that mean? Well, I have opened up whois.com/whois, and you can search for a domain here, and this will bring up everything the internet knows about this domain, everything that's public record. Now, when I was registering, I had to give them my personal information, but the Reykjavik, which is a city in Iceland, they're standing in as my middleman, right? This is who you contact if you want to talk about this, and then they will contact me. So all the way down there, again, this is all the information the internet knows about my domain. I'm glad that it doesn't have my name or anything associated with it. We have the good people in Iceland taking care of it. Okay, so coming back over here, not there. Let's come back to the domain. They're all going to be a little bit different depending on where you registered it. I'll show you Google Domains briefly, but we are going to look for something like advanced DNS. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. If I hop over to Google Domains quick, javaforjavascripters.com is a website that I own. That's another course that I'm in the process of making. But for this one, it's just simply DNS, and this will bring you to a place where you can add records. Okay. They're all a little bit different. I can try and help you, but more than likely, you're just going to have to click around. Google will probably be much better help than I will. So I would say do that. Advanced DNS, though, is what it is for Namecheap. If we come down here, they've already got two records here. Why do they have two records? Well, if I go to deploying JavaScript, they pop up just a big marketing billboard for themselves. That's why these are here. So I am going to trash these. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I don't want these here anymore. I am going to add a new record, and this is going to be an A record. And an A record is how you tell the internet that, hey, this domain points at an IP address. They had a CNAME, and a CNAME is how you tell a domain to point at another domain. Okay? For the host, I'm going to put an @ symbol here, and an @ symbol means everything. Everything points at this IP address. So going back over to our instance, get back to this page however you want to, and grab the public IP address, which is right here. Okay? So back over here, I'm going to paste that in for the IP address. The TTL, that stands for time to look up. That's how often you want it to refresh in case you make a change. I don't need anything special there. I'm going to click on Save Changes. And our A record is now pointing here. So depending on where your domain registrar is at in the pecking order and how fast it is, if I come back over and refresh now, we get a timeout because it's pointing at our IP address. Okay, this is it, 3.237.2538. Come back to PowerShell, come back over here. Let us ping deploying-javascript.com, and it's trying to go, so it looks like this is not updated yet. It's going to 192. This is going to be Namecheap. I will give it a minute, and we'll see. Hopefully, it will catch up. But yeah, this is a process. It takes the internet sometimes a minute. Used to take 24 hours to a whole weekend, and thank goodness we are past that. We're going to add another record, another A record, and I'm going to put in here www, and I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do API, and they're all going to point to the same place. Okay? At covers pretty much everything, but we want to be a little more specific. I'm going to name my backend API. So when someone tries to hit my Node backend, namely the React app, it's going to go to api.deploying-javascript.com. And that URL is going to go to this IP address. If someone tries to go to www.deploying-javascript.com, it's going to go to that same place. And if somebody just tries to go to any other subdomain, it's going to take them to that same place. Okay? So I have added those three. We can always add more if we need to, but this covers us for our domain. But if we come back over to the PowerShell and we run it on our remote, meaning our AWS machine, because in my case, if I hop back over here, this machine's in Northern Virginia, whereas I happen to be in the Atlanta area. They just run on different schedules. So run the command again. We're still going to this IP address. Well, first of all, what is that IP address? I'm going to copy it, come back over to this page, and if I paste it in, it drops me into the correct URL. So that's a good sign. If we do a whois on that IP address and go there, this is their IP address. So it's still pointing at the wrong place. So that's why my local Atlanta just hasn't updated yet for some reason. If we come back over to my AWS machine and I paste in, let's copy this command here, paste that in, that goes to the right IP address. Now, we're inside of the server and we're trying to ping itself, which doesn't make any sense, so this isn't going to return anything. But the point is, the internet updates as fast as it updates. So this will catch up eventually. What we want to do, though, is get a web server listening there so that somebody actually is listening. And we are going to do this. We're going to do sudo apt install Apache 2. So sudo means do it. Hopefully you know what that means. Apt is the Ubuntu package manager. I think I mentioned this in the previous video, but just that this is how we handle packages in Ubuntu. Install command, Apache 2 is the module. We're going to use Apache 2 web server. It's going to let us know, hey, you're going to take up some space here. That's fine. Let it run through the process. And it doesn't take real long, at least it didn't for me because Apache's not super big. Let's come back over to our EC2 machine, and I'm going to copy my public IP address. And I have pasted it in, and look at that. By just installing Apache 2 on port 80, someone is now listening. Who is it? It is Apache, and they're loading up this default page. If I come back over here and try out our deploying JavaScript, just like that, it is up to date and running. So this is awesome. I hope this blows your mind because just like that, by doing nothing more than adding in this single IP address, we now have full control over this, okay? So from here on out, theoretically, you might take a shot at this yourself if you'd never seen any of this. We just need to update what Apache is serving up instead of this page, okay? How do we do that? Well, coming back over here, this is why you're watching this video, because I know where this stuff is at. If we go to cd index/etc Apache 2 sites-available, and again, this is on our AWS machine. You should see Ubuntu in the title or whatever, however you want to keep track of your stuff. We're not on our local, because if you try and go here on your Mac or on your Windows machine, you almost certainly won't have anything. But because Apache's installed now, if I type ls, there are two config files here, and these tell Apache what to do if someone shows up on port 8000, or port 80, port 80 or port 443. I'm going to cat this first one, default, and there's a whole bunch of stuff here that we don't care about, but the top, the virtual host, listen on port 80 for any domain, any IP address, anything. If traffic shows up on port 80, what do you want me to do? I want you to load up whatever is here at /var www HTML. Okay? So that is why we are getting this page, because of what's in this folder. So let's go look at that quick. We're going to do cd /var /www/html. type ls, and we have an index.html. I use vi. If you don't use vi, use whatever you prefer, but I'm going to do sudo vi index.html, and this right here is the markup that is loading up on that page. Okay, I am going to run a shortcut here in vi. I'm going to do d, so down below here you can see it right there, and then I'm going to do 1000, and then I'm going to hit d again. That tells vi to delete 1,000 lines, and so I'm down to nothing. I'm going to hit the I key, which takes me into insert mode right here, and I'm going to put in here an h1 and say deploying JavaScript home, and then I'm going to close off the h1 tag. Okay, I'm going to hit escape to leave insert, and now I'm going to hold down shift and hit Z twice to save and exit. I have no idea where those weird commands came from, but if we come back over here and refresh now, oh, that is the most beautiful thing in the world. If you've never done it before, you have control over your destiny now. You can control what loads up at your domain with your server running on AWS for 40 cents a day. So a job well done. If we change this to HTTPS, that's going to fail because we don't have a certificate there. So Apache is listening on 443. How do I know that? Well, if we come back over here and go back into Etsy, Apache 2, sites-available, and we do an ls, there's this other one, and I'm going to cat default SSL. Okay, scrolling back up, again, a bunch of stuff we don't care about. Wow, this is really long. Okay, here we go. If the SSS module is enabled, by default it should be, it's going to listen on port 443. Okay, for you tell me what, and then it's going to load this up. Well, this doesn't load up by default because we don't have a certificate. Coming back over here and you tap on that, it'll say, hey, this isn't secure, there is no certificate. We've got to do that part of the process before this would actually do anything. Okay, so colon, I catted, I guess I don't need to exit. All right, so Apache's listening. We have to configure it. We've got some work to do. Now we go to the next part in the process, which is going to be getting our files on our server.